Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by A.G. Hines Company. When it comes to building materials and tools for your next home improvement project, get the very best at the very best prices by visiting A.G. Hines Company in downtown Knoxville. Great quality people running this company for 4 generations. It's been in the Hines family since 1920. Go check them out this week. It's on Hines Street. It's not hard to remember. Downtown Knoxville, A.G. Hines Company. All right. There's been so much talk about Josh Heupel's offense. What it will be, that I wanted to go inside the numbers and break down some of what it has been in the past to compare it to what we've seen at Tennessee, just to see if some of the perceptions are correct. When I talk to people, there seems to be a big belief that Tennessee's going to start throwing the ball all over the field like Mike Leach. I know we've talked about, no, it's still run heavy, but I've been surprised by how many people have commented to me or sent me notes saying, well, I'm looking forward to this pass-happy offense. Okay, let's take a look at what UCF did last year compared to what Tennessee did last year. Total plays, you could see 250 more or 200 more plays than Tennessee ran. Rush attempts, they're still 51-48. So the idea that they're just going to wing it every down is not quite true. Compared to Tennessee, it's a 5 percentage point swing. It will probably feel like they're throwing it constantly after watching Tennessee run it 56% of the time or 57% of the time last year. But still very much a 50-50 split. Now, that's 1 year, but traditionally his offenses have been 50-50, very well balanced. Thoughts on what you're going to see this fall in terms of run-pass from Tennessee? Think it's going to be 50-50 again?
Yeah,
Does he have the talent to do that?
Probably close to it because, I mean, you may be a little more passive. You're probably going to be behind in some games. But ultimately, the defense kind of has to pick their poison. I mean, it's a lot of this offense is based on how many guys are in the box. And if you want to put 6 guys in the box, 7 guys are going to chuck it. And we'll see what defenses, how they try to defend them. But when they do throw it, they throw it deep. Last year, Dylan Gabriel at UCF, 80 balls, 20 yards in the air or longer. The only guys that threw the next closest were Sam Ehlinger and Kyle Trask at 69. Crazy amounts of
let's go ahead and jump to that.
Yeah.
That was the next. David has taken over for Chuck as the producer today. Just kidding. Here's your pass chart. This is for Pro Football Focus from last year. In terms of passing 20-plus yards downfield, 20% of UCF's passes were that length, 20 or more. Tennessee's 17%. 10 to 19 yards, again, UCF 26%, Tennessee's 23%. The 0 to 9 yards, Tennessee was higher, and they threw a lot more behind the line of scrimmage. So it is going to be a jump in terms of the downfield throwing. I don't know that it's going to be – your numbers make it sound larger than these numbers when you look at it. Do you anticipate – well, you must because you think they're going to be throwing it downfield a lot. I look at this and think that doesn't necessarily show it's tons of deep shots.
I think maybe part of it is the total plays, but you're going to see a lot of screens too. I mean, it's all kind of seeing what the defense does. I mean, you're going to see a lot of, get to the line and look to the sideline, and the coaches are going to be relaying it in. Yeah. So you'll see some screens, some long shots. We'll see.
Guys, I got 2 things about that. One is I think that Tennessee might be limited in throwing it downfield depending on how well the pass protection is. If you can't protect, you don't want your quarterback throwing it 30 yards downfield because he's going to get killed. The other part on the earlier percentage, I think Tennessee's pass attempt percentage is going to go up. And Dave, you touched on it. I think it's going to go up because I think Tennessee's going to be behind in some games because their defense isn't very good. That's going to that will lead them to throwing more passes. So I think the percentage is going to be a whole lot closer to 55 or 56% on pass attempts instead of the 51 or so.
Which is interesting because you think about Tennessee 3-7 last year, and yet they still ran it 57%.
And that was the point I was getting ready to make.
Defensive coach protecting his defense.
They're going to throw more because they're behind, and I agree with that. But you would have thought they'd have thrown more last year because they were always behind. And so it was just like Tennessee said, no, we'll take Ehrlichman and just do what we do. But I'm kind of in I don't think they'll throw deep as much, and you touched on it, because of the offensive line. Now, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe the offensive line turns out to be really, really good, but we'll see. But I kind of think that they're probably going to come off that 20% number just a little bit. We'll just have to wait and see how all the pieces fit together. Sure. That's the big question right now.
Sure. All right, very good. That was a good, quick segment. Excellent. Let's move on. Next segment, national writer for CBSSports.com put out his outlooks for for all the new hires in college football this year. We'll tell you what he said about Josh Heupel, see if these guys agree with him. That's next on the Sports Source. Come on back.